I ignored my destiny once. I cannot do that again. Even for you. I'm the only one who knows that. At least I'm the only one with the will to act on it.
The Mad Titan Podcast with your host, Jay Washington.
What's happening, everybody? I'm back. It's episode 77 of the Mad Titan Podcast with me, resident supervillain, Mr. Jay Washington. What's happening, people? What's going on? I'm sorry, it's been 12 days at least since the last episode. And if you're wondering, like, damn, why we ain't got an episode once a week like we normally was getting from Jay early in the beginning of the year and in the middle of the year when all the news and shit was happening, and then you realize, oh yeah, it really ain't a lot of news. So I'm going to give you what I can. You know what I'm saying? I want to give y'all all stuff, but again, it has to be stuff to be happening. And I know I told you all numerous times on here too, I'm going to try to give you something even if it's not a lot. But again, me recording 10-minute podcasts, y'all going to really be mad at me. So I figured enough stuff I think is built up. I can go ahead and drop this info with y'all because there's one thing on here in particular I didn't get a chance to talk about. I think y'all know what it is. And yep, we're going to have some fun with that. And I've been getting so many tweets, DMs about it, and so we're going to talk about that. Thank you, everybody who's been reaching out, who's been checking up on your boy. I appreciate that a millionfold. Just to let you know, it does not go unnoticed at all. Thank you to everyone who has just, shown a lot of love. And I'm still getting a lot of love from being on the Weakest Link, and it's so amazing, and I'm grateful for everybody that's come over here now after seeing me on the Weakest Link, finding out who I am, what else do I have going on and everything. And you all really can make a dude smile in some dark days. And I mean, like, yo, shit's crazy out here. I sound like a regular comic. I mean, for those who don't understand the comic, but I sound like I'm like, shit's crazy, dog. Shit's crazy. And I try not to let the current state of the world get to me. I try to just deal with my own bullshit. But when your own bullshit intertwines with the state of the world, it kind of gets fucking difficult. Oh, I forgot to let you all know in the beginning of this. For those who are new to this podcast, what I do is, if you notice, first of all, I don't start this like every other podcast. I don't have, hi guys, I'm Jay Washington, and today on the show, we're going to do all this shit. You got the intro thing, then you got me. For those who are new, I get you caught up on everything happening in the Marvel and DC live action and cinematic universes. This is Barbershop Talk for Nerds. Also, I'm going to say some shit. I'm going to curse. I'm going to say how I feel truly. I'm not going to be belligerent. I'm not just going to be outright disrespectful. I'm going to always say my opinion and my perspective. And if I don't like something, as for those who know, I'm going to make sure you know why I do not like it. All right, so I wanted to get to that point. Yeah, it's just like there hadn't been a lot to talk about. And then different things happen. And, now you're like, oh, let's talk about this and let's talk about that. And all right, cool. And then I'm like, all right, do I have guests? Look, everybody's trying to maneuver their way around on things. And I know I have a lot of listeners who have hit me up via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and be like, yo, if you need a guest, I can come on. And I'm be real with y'all. I'm always going to keep it 100 with y'all. So here's what's happened before. So I had somebody on who was like, yo, I can do the show with you. Cool. Now, one of the things, the only thing I require out of anybody who ever comes on Mad Titan with me, no matter what, only thing I require out of you is energy. You don't have to be comedic. You don't have to be a celebrity. You ain't got to be none of that. You just got to have energy so that we can talk about these subjects. And if your energy is good, I can ride off your energy, and then my energy can give you, and vice versa. Because I can make my own energy, as y'all can tell. Also, I just had some coffee. Shouts out to Starbucks. 2 times the caffeine dark roast for Keurig's. I just took to the face. So yeah, we pumped up about that. But yeah, so I had someone on here, and I recorded a whole episode. Y'all probably can go back, and I think I told y'all about it. And it was just so bland, and it was so dull. And it was just like, I cannot get this to my listeners, because I have a brand I hold to. I have a certain standard I hold to with the show. And I didn't want to put that out here, and it's just like, yo, what happened with this dead ass episode? I don't want to hear this no more, and blah 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 blah, and we ain't finna do all that. So we're going to have fun here. I'm going to say what I say how I feel. Like I said, it's just me and trying to get people on here. It's been a tech thing because everybody's dealing with their own shit. Everybody's dealing with their own shit. A lot of people are still trying. We are almost in the midst of holiday season. A lot of people aren't working and don't have gigs and don't know how they're going to pay their bills, let alone buy gifts if they decide to. Or you have people who are dealing with, just trying to mentally get themselves together. I hate that I had to talk about my mental shit. And I know a lot of people hit me up and say they appreciate it. And I'm grateful that I can help you all out. I've always been grateful for any way I can support, encourage, uplift, and empower people. Because I've been told that I do that a lot through here and everything else I do. And I'm grateful for you all who let me know that, because I never set out to do it, but it happens. And so I'm glad that it has a positive effect. But when it comes to me and my mental shit, y'all know I'm like, man, I don't want to talk about this shit, because other people there are more important problems in the world than what Jay Washington is dealing with. Being alone and dealing with depression and not being able to work like he used to and not on sets consistently and all that shit. So those are relevant. But I want to make sure I uplift y'all. We're going to get through this together. Me, y'all, the members of my Supervillain Squad on Patreon, the listeners to the podcast, people who listen to Blurs and watch Blurs in the Hood and come over here. All y'all, we're going to fucking rock together. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make my goal for 2020 part 2, because I feel like we all get a do-over on this fucking year. Winston knows how I am. Winston A. Marshall, for those who ever never watched Blurs in the Hood. Fuck have you been doing? But I'm gonna do something. I promise. I'm gonna make this happen by hook or by crook. I'm not gonna sell my soul to it. But we gonna pop with Mad Titan, Blurs, PBPN, all that. I'm gonna make shit happen. I got to, because two dudes who are damn good at what they do, acting, comedy-wise, hosting, nerd shit, man, we need to be here. So, y'all already know. Let's kick this stuff off like I do with my Marvel news, which ain't a lot of. Y'all already know. If you look at a lot of the different websites and dirt sheets as we call them in wrestling, and you see all the stuff about concept art and what could have been and things like that, I don't always go in those, because it's like, why am I tell y'all about concept art on a podcast? I just want people to, I've heard podcasts that be like, yo, so this amazing concept art about what would have been in Avengers came out, and you guys have got to see it. Well, you'll fucking go see it. But anyway, the biggest news I have from Marvel is we have a Moon Knight now. Oscar Isaac, he's not officially Moon Knight. From what I've heard, he's still in talks. I don't know if the deal's been sealed. And I think I've said this before numerous times here and every place else I get a chance to talk about it. When we hear somebody's in talks to play the role, we got to stop making it official. Because yes, 98% of the time it can be official, but there have been times when we've called ourselves as people who are pundits, critics, fans, whatever, have said, yo, they're in talks, so it means they're the role, and then it doesn't happen. Negotiations fall through all the damn time. So Oscar Isaac is currently in talks to play Moon Knight, and Mohamed Daib is set to be the director of the series. Now, Mohamed Daib, he is an Egyptian filmmaker, and he earned great acclaim for his directorial debut in Cairo 678 and his follow-up Clash. And his next film, Amira, is scheduled to be released in 2021. Now, Jeremy Slater from the Umbrella Academy, he's going to be the showrunner and the head of the writing team. Now, they don't have a synopsis for Mark Spector, Moon Knight, and whatnot. But here's the thing about Oscar Isaac's casting. So, many people have had a small uproar. I won't say it's been a major uproar, major backlash, because it hasn't been. Because Oscar Isaac isn't Jewish. And Mark Spector is Jewish. And that's a part of his comic lore. Now, Daveed Diggs and Nick Kroll, both who are Jewish, were in talks for the role. And, Winston said it, and I agreed with him. Nick Kroll could have been an amazing Mark Spector, especially because we have to go through the multiple personalities aspect of what Spector has in the comics, if you're familiar with it. There are people who are like, yo, they should have made sure they casted a Jewish actor and this, and, because Oscar Isaac's father or something is Jewish. I think there's Judaism on his father's side, and because if it's not from the mother, you're not Jewish. You have to be Jewish based upon your mother or converting, if I'm not mistaken. And so that has brought up a lot of questions because, again, I understand we're in this day and age where over the past, I'd say 6-7 years, where the representation we want on screen to reflect our cultures and our races and ancestry, to, be reflective in these characters that we've grown up with. And a lot of times we have to remember a lot of characters are older, some are newer, but there are certain parts of these characters that are important. They're pertinent to the characters that have to remain and need to stay. And again, I have nothing, I can't speak to it fully. But if I have to remember, I have to read up on Moon Knight again to find out if him being Jewish is a major part of the character. Now, I have to say it that way because this is a discussion I'm repeatedly having on here. I think I sound like a broken record almost, but I try to keep the shit having some type of differentiation each time. If these parts we want to keep are not specifically pertinent and directly affect the character's narrative and who they are, then they can be switched up a bit for film. Again, at the end of the day, no matter what, we're talking about fucking comic book characters. Yes, that includes Black Panther, ladies and gentlemen. No matter what. We all can get upset. Like if somebody starts to say, yo, I'm finna cast, we finna make Shia LaBeouf the Black Panther. I can be pissed to the gills. I could scream from the heavens, tweet till my fingers bleed, all that shit. But then I'd have to come down and remember it's a comic book character in Hollywood. It's fucked up. But until Hollywood has those people who are black, brown, LGBTQ openly at the heads of these tables, and when I say heads of these tables, I mean the heads of these studios, the heads of these places that's dropping this money, that's when shit for sure will be that way. Until then, it's a possibility always change. But I digress, because again, I would be pissed. Yo, if you told me Jennifer Aniston was going to be Storm, I'd go off and shoot every executive in the face with a shotgun filled with roaches. Yup, nothing but roaches, and not even regular roaches. Not roaches that just dwell on the streets of California because roaches live outside. I'm talking about roaches from the projects that have had boric acid on it and they've survived. I'm talking about roaches that were scratching and surviving good times. I'm talking about roaches that was all in the family. I'm talking about roaches that was talking about it's a rare occasion this day and age to read any good news on a newspaper page. I'm talking about Family Matters roaches. Those, I'm giving you hood roaches. I digress. There is no set time frame yet for start of production for Moon Knight. But now again, you have the star, 98%, 99%, you have it there. You have your showrunner, you have your director. It's like, all right, let's go. And again, it's showing us that Disney Plus, Marvel Studios, they are truly investing in these series because they're putting more pressure on these series to hurry up and get rolling, because who knows when they can go back to making full movies from the beginning again. Yeah, Shang-Chi just recently wrapped, right? But Shang-Chi was already starting before the pandemic. There are very few movies that have started. Now, Thor Love and Thunder is about to start down in Australia. Australia is its own thing because it ain't America, which is the Florida of the world when it comes to this fucking pandemic. But certain films are being able to be done depending on where they shoot them at and then knock them out and have to be done safely. Whereas with these series, you can do these in certain contained areas. Now, I don't expect anything with new information, so I don't expect She-Hulk, I don't expect Ms. Marvel, I don't expect Moon Knight, none to start production until at least the end of first quarter 2021. Why do I say this? Because I've said it to many people. Whether we like it or not, the country as a whole is going to stop again pretty soon. Here is why. I know many of my listeners are in red states, some are in blue states, but nonetheless, we are all fucking in this fucked up country. Call it what you will. We are also in this thing called cold and flu season. We've already talked about how the coronavirus in itself is a respiratory disease. It has affected many people, which is why there's the need for respirators and ventilators, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you add that with a season that is already known to kill people. I promise you, you are going to have a shutdown. Now, here's what is happening. If they're trying to avoid that. Here's what's happening when it comes to Hollywood. And when I say Hollywood, I don't just mean Los Angeles proper. I mean Hollywood as in the film and television industry. Give you all a little behind the scenes. They are trying, and when I say they, I mean television studios, movie studios, production studios as a whole. They are trying to get as much content as they can before a major spike happens again, because as we're seeing in the news, there are spikes happening in various parts around the country again. My hometown of Chicago, they getting put back on punishment because motherfuckers act like they just done with a pandemic, and that's how it works. And that's not how it works. And now they want to be mad at the mayor and the governor, and you can't do that. Let me say that real quick. I'm going to switch base real fast. To any city or state that has been put back on coronavirus restrictions, and you get mad at your elected officials because your dumbass wants to say they're restricting your freedoms, you're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. They aren't the ones jacking up the numbers. It's people who had to be like, I gotta go to Applebee's. It's everybody who wants to be in a bar up in each other's fucking face. And then you can say, well, some people have masks on in the bars. This is true. But when you start drinking, what does alcohol do? You lose your inhibitions. You become free. You don't give a shit. And so these numbers are spiking. And again, yes, everybody's like, well, it has a 95% success rate. I understand that. But you know what? The one thing about this virus that the news will never compare it to, that Jay Washington will for you all the goddamn time, it is playing Russian roulette with your life. Everybody who gets the coronavirus is the next player up, where there is one bullet in a revolver and you are not allowed to look down the goddamn barrel. You get what I'm saying? You never know if you get it, are you going to be the one to succumb? And are you really willing to play that guessing game? If you have not lived your entire life, and even if you have, do you still want to play it? So when it happens, when you have these cases that are spiking in these cities and states again, and the city officials are doing what is best for the public general health, there are idiots out here in California like, oh, Governor Newsom don't know what he's doing. Look, I get it. I'm upset at him because he should have just stuck to his fucking guns and kept everything locked down. Never should have reopened shit. When you go to I think that's what any state, when you go to a lockdown and reopen, you run the risk of people being upset. That's absolutely true. But if you are going to be an elected official, no matter what, stick to your guns and protect the people. If they don't like it, then fine, they can be upset. But they ain't got to like it while they're alive. So, I digress. So a lot of these productions are trying to get a lot of stuff done and have it in the can just in case there is a major shutdown in these areas. So Hollywood and filming in itself shuts down through the Christmas to New Year's season. This is normally because people, especially in LA, they are not from LA. They go home, they go on vacation, this, that, and the third. Now, of course, with the coronavirus, many people may not, and I stress that because it's like, they probably will, may not be traveling. Many people may not be going to see family or doing things, but as a whole, the city will shut down. Production cease. That's just what it is during that time period. We're almost coming up on that, given the fact it's practically fucking November. But we're coming up on that period, so things will shut down until about the second week of January. Then things potentially ramp back up. Now, if they can ramp back up by then, stuff will start to air. Because I'll get into this later, we got some air dates on CW shows. Things will begin to air, and then we'll start having productions and we'll having content again. If anybody was wondering why we have a bunch of game shows and reality shows and stuff like that are coming out, because now you can film game shows. You can keep the contestants apart. You don't need to, you can make sure they follow all COVID protocols. You don't have to have an audience, even though sometimes I kind of wish they wouldn't add a laugh track because it's like, oh, that shit's brutal. But you can do something, have enough in the can, do it within a time frame, a scheduled time frame, where you can film everything, go ahead and have it edited, put it out, boom, and now you got enough content to last you X amount of time, and it keeps going that way. So that's some behind the scenes stuff. So when we're like, because like now people are like, oh shit, we ain't got nothing new to watch. That's because everything that was filmed is almost out and it's almost done. So now we're going to come to the point where you're going to get reruns of everything anyway. You're going to get a bunch of Christmas stuff, which, by the way, let Halloween happen first. Not even Thanksgiving. Let Halloween happen first. But, excuse me, I had to go on that rant. So yeah, we're hopefully going to get, like I said, Disney Plus is going to use this because, again, they don't know what 2021 will hold to be able to go full swing in productions. Now, they are currently looking for black writers to write on the Blade movie. I want to figure out how to put my thoughts and inputs and perspective in that because I've never written professionally. And I know they're not going to go for a brand new writer who's never written anything for TV or film, who's unproven, untested. I have ideas, and I think I got a couple good ideas of how you can plot a story out. I'm one of those people that's like this. Here's my idea for the Blade story, right? Boom. Now, Kevin Feige, Louis D'Espirito, and all of you guys, tell me what you need for the timeline, because that is how the MCU works. Since we're still talking Marvel real quick, we all say, yo, directors should have their own view, own perspective on these movies and blah, 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 blah. Yes, I agree. When you bring in a director, it's because you admire their creative vision. You know what they can do. You see the shit they put out in the world. And you're like, yo, this person is perfect to deliver this story. But also in that story, there is another story. The story of the MCU as a whole. Black Panther is probably the only one that has been different. Is more than likely the only one, because it does not talk really, only except the beginning of the film when you get the recap of T'Challa's father passing, is it talking about it doesn't talk about anything else in the MCU as a whole at large until you get to the very end post-credit scene where you see Bucky. That's it. That in the beginning and the end, that's all. But the rest of the films connect to the rest of the world at large, and we see how, and we always hear how. So when you bring a director in and you're like, yo, what's your idea? And you sit down and you tell them your idea and you're like, cool. Now, your idea is that. Here's where we need this to go. How do you think we can come to a consensus where both of these work together, where it flows, it builds into the overall arc of the story that we're doing and we're telling, and that the fans stay into it? Because I know there's still going to be people who are DC fans who listen to me, and I fuck with DC too. I never said I haven't. Who are like, well, anything Marvel puts out, people are going to see regardless. This is true. But you know why? That's the advantage of having a proven track record. Yes, you can have a flop film here or there. You absolutely can. But when you are sitting at the high 95 percentile of positive reviews, you're pretty good at what you're doing. Now, this isn't a knock on DC and the DC film universe as it is. It's not a knock on it at all. It's just saying, yes, Marvel has proven that, yeah, people will go out to see whatever they drop because they're like, yo, I trust what you're doing. I know one way or another I might enjoy this. The box office will tell that now. Granted, will there ever be a fucking box office again? Not right now. I mean, we're going to have to, unfortunately, suck it up and say, yes, we are going to be watching movies at home. I hate it. I hate having it. There are movies that, yes, absolutely need to be seen on a screen. But you have to remember this, and this is to all of my listeners. This is to all y'all. Because I know a lot of y'all will sit there and tell me you will wait X amount of years if you have to and blah, 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 blah. I get you will. I get a small percentage of the population will. But guess what? Film studios cannot afford to. You have to remember, no matter what, no matter how much you love the art of cinema, no matter how much you love what movies and film are, this is still a business at the end of the day. This is still a business. These are not indie houses. These are not movies made for a tiny film festival. These are blockbuster films and blockbuster projects which have to have their budgets recouped and to make a profit. Not only are they being made to make fans enjoy the product and bring something to life, but it's also being made to make a profit. And if the only way that profit is going to be made, especially with the potential death of theaters, because look, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. They can keep saying they're going to open theaters. Some theaters have been open and people just aren't going. Plain and simple. You cannot force people into theaters, especially during this day and age. If you're not going to make money at theaters, you got to make money somehow. And that is going to be releasing it on streaming. Just plain and simple. It is going to be releasing on streaming. I understand some people hate to hear that. I understand some people like, well, this movie has to be seen. It should be seen. Patty Jenkins said, and Avengers that, and I understand all of that. I hear every last one of y'all. But you gotta remember, these movie theaters, these movie studios, they gotta make their money back. And you can't tell, nobody can sit there and say, you can't say with a straight face, well, it's not all about money. It's not for you. Again, when you're in business to make money. And when you know you have things that make money, you're doing that. So I say all that to say, do not be surprised if Black Widow don't fuck around and drop on Disney+. I understand it has a May release date set to still be a blockbuster in theaters. I understand that technically speaking right now, Wonder Woman 84 is set to drop Christmas. Do not be surprised if Wonder Woman does not drop on HBO Max. But you got to pay for it. You ain't paying those $30 probably. You pay what Birds of Prey was. But do not be surprised. Because remember, people kept trying to say Birds of Prey flopped at the box office when it technically didn't. It never had a chance to have its Chinese box office, which is the main box office these movie studios push for. Blockbuster movies are not made for America. Box office wise. Blockbuster movies are made for the Chinese market because they drop money. So, if they need to hurry up and find a way to get to the Chinese market and they cannot do it in theaters, they are going to do it electronically. And I know some people are like, well, they run the risk of it being pirated. They run the risk of it being pirated even if it's still in theaters. It always is the same. It's got to be real. Told y'all in the beginning of this shit, I'm going to keep shit A100 with you and lay it out for you. There are people like, yo, I want to wait. I'll wait to see it in theaters. Studios ain't going to wait. You can wait. But studios are not. And yeah, you listening might say, well, I'm just not going to watch it. That's fine. But if you won't, 2-3 more people will. And again, you can't compare. Do not bring up Mulan because Mulan was already faulted for a while because of its lead running her mouth. So Mulan already had a rough hill to climb. Black Widow is a whole nother thing. People are starting to accept. If I got to see it this way, that's the safest bet. I'm going to watch it. Wonder Woman 84. As much as Patty Jenkins want to fight, at some point, you just got to let it happen. Christopher Nolan kept telling them, put Tenet in theaters. People are going to come out and see it. Tenet needed to make $1 billion. You all can say, well, it made like $300 million. It made this little bit. It barely recouped its budget. It needed to make a certain amount to hit a profit. That didn't happen. No matter how much they kept doing the advertisement about it. No matter how much they kept saying it's the #1 movie in theaters. Because it ain't no hardly other fucking movies in theaters. People ain't going. Some people will travel to go to a theater. Some people will finally say, fuck it, I'm going to go. Some people will be like, yo, I'm just going to make sure I get my mask on and go. But guess what? The collective aren't doing that. And we've seen that. Let me move on to DC news. What I got? All right. Oh, yeah, that's what I got to talk about. All right. Brace for it, y'all. So here goes. Jared Leto is in the new version of Zack Snyder's Suicide Squad. It's not a Snyder cut. Let's stop that shit right now. You officially have to stop that. It is not a cut. You know why? Because cuts are just reshoots. That's it that he was supposed to do. Either reshoots or, cuts for Zack Snyder, from what he was telling everybody, was it just needed visual effects done. That was the initial thing he kept saying. It just needed visual effects. It just needed visual effects. It didn't need just visual effects. He shot new scenes. Well, Snyder told everybody, he took to Twitter and said, first he announced about Jared Leto's Grand Theft Auto version of the Joker being involved in this movie, which lets you know he was shooting brand new fucking scenes, because Jared Leto's Joker was not in the original version. He shot new shit. He's made a new movie. He's doing everything he can to take away what would, again, he kept telling everybody that's not his movie. Joss Whedon reshot everything, which is pretty much a lie. Whedon reshot shit that he had to reshoot, that Warner Brothers probably told him to reshoot, and he probably did a couple things himself, but as a whole, the majority of that is his movie. So now what he's trying to do is save face and make a brand new movie. And you're like, Jay, why does it matter? Because I hate seeing people get lied to. Do I care about Warner Bros., HBO Max getting lied to and them losing money on it? Not really. I just think this sets a fucked up precedent. And I know people have said, well, other directors have got to show their vision. This is the same fucking thing. Other directors didn't get a chance to do a whole new blockbuster movie. Again, why does it matter? It sets a precedent for people thinking, if I whine and cry and complain enough on Twitter, I can get what I want. Yes, Sonic the Hedgehog was one of those things, but that, damn it, that was deserved. We all saw what the fuck that originally was. That was the shit of nightmares. That motherfucker had veneers. Why did Sonic have veneers? But recently, not only did he say that the Jared Leto Joker's in there, he took to Twitter and announced that additional photography, which are reshoots, are underway. Now, so he is shooting brand new scenes. This is a brand new movie. Joe Manganiello's coming back. He's shooting more roles, more scenes. You're getting a brand new movie, and everybody's like, well, what's wrong with that? Don't tell everybody you have. I hate when people lie to people, like, in the grand scheme of things. Zack Snyder proved he was a con man to the highest extent. How do I mean? Well, not to the highest extent, because there's an orange fuck muppet in office. That's a whole different ballgame. How do I prove he's a con man? He told the world he had a full cut ready to be released that Warner Brothers just needed to release. He kept pitching it, and he started a cult of motherfuckers who was like, well, just release the Snyder cut. And then HBO Max didn't have enough subscribers, so they were like, fuck it, we need this. This is an HBO Max movie. This isn't a Warner Brothers movie. This is HBO Max's money because they need something. They're like, yo, you're going to get this next year. And everybody's going, well, they needed a marquee thing to have. Okay, cool. They do, because, yeah, Disney Plus had The Mandalorian. That's fair. But then they told you it's a 4-hour movie coming in 4 separate weeks. So technically, you either need to get HBO Max or steal it or do the smart thing and get 4 different emails so you can keep getting free weeks, right? But he told everybody all he needed was visual effects done. That was it. He literally said, all I got to do is get the visual effects done. It's ready to go. Kept saying that. Then, this is how I knew the Snyder cult fans worked, because then y'all were like, oh, okay, cool. We getting it. You happy? Fine. Whatever. Told y'all it existed. It was like, a cut of that movie, a finished cut of that movie doesn't exist. I've always said a finished cut of that movie doesn't exist. Right? So now, you find out it's going from 20 million to about 70 million total. Those are new scenes. That is not reshoots. $70 million is not reshoots. As someone who's in movies, $70 million is not just reshoots. That is brand new photography. That is new principal photography. So now, you're getting a brand new movie next year. Y'all gonna be happy? Whatever. Am I gonna watch it? Of course, because I gotta do it for shit like this. But shouldn't have lied to people. I think if he'd have said straight up, I have a cut that I need to finish. If I'm allowed to finish my cut, not even I have a cut, I have scenes that are ready to be done, that can be put together. I need to do some more stuff, then you can have a full movie. Don't say I have a cut, because a cut means I've shot all my principal photography. I've shot it all. I just need to now do my visual effects, trimming, editing, color correcting, all that. That's a cut of a movie. I've had to come back from movies for reshoots and stuff like that. Y'all gotta understand there's a whole different process. Again, am I upset? I'm just upset that they made it seem like, okay, now I'll do this. Some people said, well, what if somebody from Marvel said they had a such and such cut or something? Okay, fine. Let's see it. But here's what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't be as annoying as fuck on Twitter and social media like the Snyder Cult fans were. And then people try to offset it with saying, well, people who hate the Snyder Cult fans are just as annoying. No, because you motherfuckers were just terrible. You motherfuckers sat up there, and I say you motherfuckers because I'm not saying all y'all who are listening to me are those type of people. But those motherfuckers sat on Twitter and searched the word Snyder Cut for anybody that said something and jumped in mentions to say something. That's how you know you motherfuckers were those motherfuckers were awful. They made sure that anytime they saw the words and it wasn't something that they liked, they were like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Like, terrible ass people. Trolls, incels, most motherfuckers who just need a fucking friend. But nonetheless, May 2021. Well, yeah, May 2021. Because this ain't going to change the release of it because it's going out digital. It's going out digital. And again, what's HBO Max getting out of it? Because this is HBO Max's thing. What are they getting? The subscribers, the money behind that. So they need to recoup as far as enough subscribers to warrant $70 million. They need at least $70 million in subscribers. If they do not have $70 million of subscribers that have come since the time of the announcement, May 25th of the announcement, till its release, May 2021, then that was a bust for them. Yes, that people can stream it consistently. Yeah. But unless those stream numbers can eventually add up to more advertisers buying in, because sometimes it doesn't, then it's a bust. See, a lot of people just look at a review, a critic review, and a fan review and call a movie a bust or that, or just go by initial box office numbers and then say certain things and don't look at what the budget was or what was expected of a film. There are so many different moving pieces that a lot of people got to play into that you got to take feeling out of and put in actual logic and realism to. So, that's my thoughts on that. Steve Agee has been added to the Peacemaker HBO Max series. John Cena's character both characters from the upcoming Suicide Squad movie, directed by James Gunn. Steve Agee is playing two roles. He's King Shark, the voice of King Shark, and he's John Economics. And John Economics will be the one we see in the Peacemaker series. Again, it's believed that Peacemaker will die in the Suicide Squad because this is a prequel series. Oh, I got to go back to Suicide Squad. So more stuff about the Ray Fisher, Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, Warner Brothers, whole accusations or investigation is going on. And Fisher just came out and said recently that Joss Whedon had characters, people of color with darker skin tones, had their skin tones lightened up for the movie because he didn't like how dark they were. Now, if any of you all are listening to this and saying, what's the problem with that? You are fucking idiots. I hate to say it that way. You just need to learn to light black people. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it is you need to have black people on set who know how to light black people. The HBO show Insecure is the perfect example of that. Because they have to know, the lighters have to know how to light various skin tones and shades of black people, and black and brown people, if you will, all in the same scene. We are all different shades. Light is absorbed by our skins. It doesn't reflect off. And so you have to have the balance where you don't lighten up somebody's skin tone, because that is colorism as a whole, and it has always been that way. If you saw the Hulu series Woke, that's what they did to Keith Knight's headshot. They lightened his picture because it is a belief that darker skin is not attractive and appealing. So if you make it lighter, it's more presentable. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm a darker skinned dude. My skin is dope. Darker skinned women, they skin are hella dope. Again, just learn to like people. Don't blow out. Don't have the lights blowing them out. And don't have somebody trying to color correct and lighten their skin tones, because that's bullshit. So if that's what Joss Whedon is on, and now you're like, well, how come we haven't heard about this before? Then now you have to look at the track record of work he's done, and you're like, yo, how many dark people has he actually had to light? And then somebody's going to say, well, what about Sam Jackson and the Avengers? How many other black people in the Avengers or the Avengers Age of Ultron are there? If you really see. Huh? Don't worry. I'll wait. Now, I asked this question to Winston and Marshall on Blurs. I'm like, so what happens next? If that's the case. Because like now, do we just say, all right, well, fuck it. Are people not going to use them? Because I think that's the issue. Like, if we find out he was an asshole and did some racist bullshit like that, because that's exactly what it is, does it change anything? Look, Mel Gibson around here telling his ex-wife, I hope you get raped by a pack of wild niggas, and it's proven to be hella anti-Semitic and everything, and it's still fucking working. So it's not going to change shit, unfortunately. Is there a way for him to pay? Yeah, not have him working, but also at the same time, here's the thing about certain people when we say we don't want them, they shouldn't work again, they shouldn't do work in this field or whatever. Y'all forget, some motherfuckers that made their money already. Some people are making money just added on top of money that's already good. There's money that's just going to keep investing in itself and keep growing in itself. There's some people who need to keep working to keep making money. You have some directors who just love what they do. They love what they do. So yeah, they'll keep making TV and film. They love it. They love it. They may not have made a lifetime savings of money yet, so they need to do it. But you're talking about a man in Whedon who got money on the back end too. And that back end money is what is always the best money. So again, financially he'll be set. That's all I say all that to say that. Financially, Whedon's set. He good. But what happens going forward? What happens going forward? Because if you're willing to do some bullshit like that and you cannot say, well, I did not know that you need to be able to lighten black people a certain way. That's a fucking lie. It's a fucking lie. Again, Insecure, so many other shows have properly lit black people, movies, properly lit black people. And to say that, oh, I need to lighten their skin tones, that's saying, A, you think that dark can't be seen on screen, and B, you just don't like dark skin. The CW has released some of its air dates for 2021, so check this out. By the way, we got our first look at Javicia Leslie in the new Batwoman suit, and that shit was amazing. I'm so happy for what I see. I saw a black woman in power. The wig, the hair that's what I'm talking about. I was like, oh, thank God. Because that was my nervousness. And I understood when we saw the screen test picture, a lot of us were like, oh shit, that's the old wig. Are they going to use this? And it was like, no, it was just for the screen test, just to see what she would potentially look like. And the new suit and everything looks so dope. Well, she will premiere Sunday, January 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern, I believe it is. So she will premiere then. Black Lightning comes back Monday, February 9th. The Flash, Tuesday, February 23rd. And Superman and Lois will make its premiere right after that, 9 p.m. on February 23rd. Clearly, Green Arrow and the Canaries, dead in the water. In the water. That's not happening. I don't know why, look. I don't know why anybody thought that was going to be a show. The problem with Green Arrow and Canaries, the biggest issue it had was it was set in the future. Why? Why? It didn't need to be set in the future. If you were going to do Oliver Queen dies and now Felicity went and died with him, Mia now just exists in the current timeline, that would have probably had a better chance. But nobody cared about Star City in the future. It just didn't. Sorry, it is what it is. The Green Lantern series that's coming to HBO Max. Mark Guggenheim and Steph Graham-Smith have said this will be shot like a movie. It will have that movie look and feel, and I think that's the only way. That Green Lantern movie can work. It's got to have a good budget. It has It has a good budget, has a good look, has great production behind it. Of course, you're going to learn from the lessons of the old Green Lantern film. That's just a given. But you learn from anything, and now you have advanced technology to make things look better in general. So I think that's going to be great. I'm highly here for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely here for it, all right? So that is pretty much all of the news I have for this week. I'm going to go over to the emails and phone calls I have from the Mad Titan Podcast. Email at madtitanpodcast@gmail.com, madtitanpodcast@gmail.com. And the phone calls, the voicemails to the hotline at 818-276-6947, 818-276-6947. All right, I'm going to go to my first email real quick. All right, and this one comes from Clinton O'Para. He says, Dear Jay, thoughts on Harrison F. Guardiola being my personal pick for America Chavez? Why'd you send this big-ass picture in the middle of an email? Okay, I guess. I think she would work. I think she's a darker-skinned Afro-Latina. She perfectly would work if that was the pick, but you know, they go by celebrity status sometimes to these roles and people that they think they can have identify with other things and, you know, so stuff like that. But appreciate the email. Alonzo Richardson. He says, other subject is other comics. He says, first, I'd like to thank you for putting in the hard work to put this together. It's not easy finding blurred podcast content that focuses on comic movies and TV shows. With that being said, would you consider expanding your content to include other companies besides Marvel and DC? I know they are the main ones, but there are other companies putting in work like the boys from Dynamite Comics and Invincible from Image. Speaking of which, have you seen the trailer for Invincible? It's slated to come out on Amazon Prime in 2021. It's a great comic, and the show perfectly captures Ryan Ottley's amazing artwork. Check it out and let us know what you think on the next podcast. So I haven't had a chance to watch the trailer. I will. I'm seeing the hero in the front. Looks kind of dope. I will definitely check that out. I honestly do. I am starting to think about putting more into this with other comic companies, especially when it comes to live action. More so anything. Not just art, you see, because the comics, cartoon, shall I say, or animation would make it way too intensive for me to try to cover everything. Way too intensive. And so if I can't start doing that because I do want to talk to boys, Umbrella Academy, things like that. I may, coming in 2021, start to include other companies that have live action things that happen. So, you know, even when we're talking about movies or movies and TV shows, yeah, like when the Old Guard came out as a film or Warrior Nun, things like that, I may begin to include those, but I need to know what the listeners want first. Because if I include it and the listeners don't want it, then I did it for nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying your question and your perspective and your point and your opinion on this isn't valid, because it completely is. But I need to know collectively from a whole. So let me know Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington. But thank you so much for your email. Let's go to the homie. Another email from the homie J.L. Phillips. He said, what's up, Jay? Real shit. I don't even like to bring this up to you, but I know nobody else seen it, but you did. They're now talking about Jared Joker being added to the Snyder Cut. What the fuck are they doing over there in DC? Can we even call this a cut anymore, since they pretty much allowed him to change everything but the name? I hope everything is your way, and sorry for the rage. I know you about to have for this questions. I just need answers. Be easy, pimpin'. J.L. Phillips II. Well, you heard my thoughts on it earlier. I mean, first of all, thanks for the email as always, brother. You heard my thoughts on it earlier. This is a brand new movie. It's not a cut. It's not a cut. It's a new film. It's a brand new film. So now, motherfuckers cry because they didn't like the other movie. You're getting another movie, right? They have allowed Zack Snyder to skate by, because if he probably would have did this regular movie and just added the visual effects and that was it, that he's quote unquote said, even if that existed, then it probably wasn't a good film. Well, you never know. But thank you for your email, bro. I got another one. Fredtastic314. That's the homie Fred Castillo. He says, hey, Mr. J, happy to be writing you again. It's been hectic, as you know, so I'll get with the getting. Are multiple universes necessary for Marvel to continue their story? I've always liked the idea of multiple storylines on the same plane of existence. It's when I'm invested in a superhero story, knowing they won't possibly interact with another, that begins to get me disinterested. Thanks for taking my email, and I'll be listening. Have a great week, and thanks for all the entertainment. I love it. Fred Castillo. Fred, thank you first and foremost, and always thank you for being a member of the Supervillain Squad. I most definitely do appreciate you. Do they have to go to multiverses? I don't think they have to so much. I think it's just, how do we It's more so, how do we make the world more expansive? And yeah, the world is expansive within itself it's expansive in itself with being the way it is. Let's just say that. It's expansive within itself being the way it is. It doesn't really need to branch out into the different worlds. But again, when we're talking about Marvel's universe, as with DC's, the multiverses all converge into one gigantic event. We've had that with DC with Crisis on Infinite Earths. You get what I'm saying? And you can have that with Secret Wars in Marvel. Now, that's the way they're going. I'm not saying that is for sure, but that's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. It can be disinteresting and disheartening. But again, you look at things like what we have where there's numerous Batman and all this, and we know they won't interact. And now that we know in the Batman, Superman and Wonder Woman exist in that world, whereas we still have Snyder's world, which I'm assuming is a one and done. But even going forward in that iteration of the DC universe, Wonder Woman is running, Superman is, we don't know what he's going to do, but he's coming in other films. Aquaman, they all exist. And I don't think they're going to do a climactic cinematic Crisis on Infinite Earths. So it can be frustrating a little bit. It can be confusing, but also, again, you have to know there's an end goal. There's an end goal. And I think that's the biggest thing we have to play towards. Okay, there's an end goal. Why is Marvel doing this? Why is Marvel going ahead and saying, hey, let's introduce the multiverse? Let's introduce the multiverse. Let's go this route. What does that do? And it's going to be one of those, we have to go for the ride with them. If that makes sense. We have to go for the ride with them. We go for the ride with anything else. We go for the ride with anything else they do. Let's just be honest. We go for the ride with what DC is doing, whether we like it or not, with Marvel. We go for the ride. We have to see where it plays out. That's where, at the end of the day, I think it matters, if that makes sense. I'm trying to figure out how the best way to say it. But again, we're at this point now. I guess there's no going back. So we just got to see what happens. You know what I'm saying? We just got to see. Thank you for all the emails. Let me get to the phone call I have in the Mad Titan Podcast hotline right now.
Yo, Jay, it's your boy Milton from Pennsylvania. Hey, so I'm scrolling through Twitter, and I see you going back and forth with people about the Snyder Cut, which we all know your opinion. You're not a fan of it. That's fine. I guess my biggest thing is, though, personally, if Warner Brothers want to waste all that money on the Snyder Cut, so be it. That's their bread. Who am I to tell them not to do it? Now, yeah, if I'm not feeling the movie when it comes out, I'll be the first one to say the movie's trash. But look, I'm all about directors getting the opportunity to finish their vision. Now, I know you're going to argue and say, hey, you know what? It's not the director's movie. It's the movie studio's movie. You're absolutely right. I can't argue that. But in this sense, I think as DC fans and as fans of comic book movies and genre, I think it's going to be nice to see the Snyder Cut at what it was intended to be. But like I said, it's not really a question I got for you, just my thoughts on it. Like I said, I see you going back and forth with people on Twitter, and that's prerogative, brother, and I'm not going to hate on you for that. But like I said, I think at least let's see the finished product. You know what I'm saying? Let's give it a shot. Clearly, we know it's not going to move the needle forward, and that might be a problem for you and other people. But I do want to see Zack Snyder's final vision, see where it goes, and just see how this whole thing plays out. But like I said, I just want to see a good piece of film, a good piece of art, and a really good comic book film. But that's all I got for it, brother. Superhero for life. Holla at your boy. Peace.
Milton, PA, what's happening, man? Appreciate your call always, man. Yeah, it is. You're right. There are things as comic book fans we want to see, and we're happy we seeing. And again, this is, like I said earlier, it's HBO Max's money. I had to make sure I clarify that. This ain't Warner Brothers. This is the HBO Max money. Those are two different type of, and companies in a sense, and subsidiaries. It's just, again, we're all going to sit there and say, man, I wonder what such and such did. We're now going to be always holding in the past when we allow these things to happen. I think that's the thing. We won't allow ourselves to move forward. Because now, and yeah, you said moving the needle forward, because now you got people clamoring for the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. For what? What's the point? Because what happened, here's why I say this. what happens is these things come out. No matter how they are received by the general public, whether it's one way or another, that fan base, that cult that reached out, that pitched this fit for them, they're gonna make it seem like now they want more, and they're gonna keep being that way on social media and berating and again coming in people's mentions who just say something about it and things like that. So it's a slippery slope. Again, I'm gonna see it because again, yeah. If I like it, I like it. If not, I don't. I think that's how I look at it. But I'm not trying to. I have my feelings on it. And again, yeah, you're right. I just said it before. It does not move the needle. And when I say it does not move the needle, that it does not move the needle changing where they're going forward now. It doesn't. So we'll see what happens with that. Listen, that's everything I got this week for this episode 77 of the Man Titan Podcast. Listen, thank you to everybody who listened, everybody who rocked with me. Please, if you've listened to this and you haven't done it in a long time, rate and review this episode. Rate and review it. Go ahead, drop them 5 stars. Give it a review. Let's boost this up in the algorithm. I know we got to get this out more. But again, we're going to try to find more news and more real info and stuff to talk about here. And again, I'm going to work on getting guests again, but y'all already know shit's crazy. And so I can do it. So I will be here for that. Also, if you want to start hearing me include other comic book properties that have live action TV shows and movies, please let me know. Tweet me. Hit me on Instagram at Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington, all right? Join the Supervillain Squad on Patreon, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington. Become a producer of the show, as well as one of the producers of Blurs in the Hood and more. Also, when you join my Patreon, you get to join my Discord. As soon as you join, it's fun. A bunch of people in there. And also, if you join at the $25 tier, you are at the one-on-one with a supervillain where we sit down for at least an hour and talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. And you can go check those out over at my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JAYWashington80, man. Those have been some amazing, interesting, thought-provoking conversations. I love having them. No matter how I feel, no matter how I feel, no matter how tired I might be, drained I might be, I love sitting down and talking with members of the squad. It ain't even a financial thing. It's just you guys bring me so much life, and those conversations reinvigorate me. You know what I'm saying? So I want to give a shout out to my newest members of the Patreon. Kenneth Daisy, thank you for finally joining, brother. Shantae Wilder, thank you for joining at the one-on-one tier. I appreciate you so much. Timur Buta, hopefully I got that right. Thank you so much. And is it Elias? Elias or Elias? I wish I had the pronunciation. I do apologize for butchering that. But to my existing members, Adam Collins, Adalberto Rios, you already know it, that 101, Adelia Chamberlain, Ashley King, AZ Badfish, thank you so much. Brock Severson, Brian Larson, Chauncey Woodson, thank you, Broski, for the 101. Cheryl Corbin, Christopher Conley, Dan Bibke, David Adams, Deontay Clemens, Edward Wilshire, Fanboy Cantina, Fillmore Pockets, Fred Castillo, Hurley Nellums, Jake Icavetta, James Robbins, Jared Simpson, Jason Inman, Jeffrey Chadorn, Jim Mason, Jim Payne, thank you for being at the 101. Jolene, thank you for being at the one-on-one. Justin Square, Kirsty Oliveria, LK, Luis Torres, thank you, brother, for being at the one-on-one tier. Marcus Burton, Marcus Kennedy, Mike Moore, Mikey Lito, Paisley Darts, Patrick Harden, Quentin Milrow, Randy Constance, thank you, brother, Rudy Rueda, and Samir Tisfai, thank you all so much. I appreciate it much. Please believe me. Listen, I think that's all I got going on right now. As always, check out Blurs in the Hood live every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, over on the Blurs in the Hood YouTube channel, youtube.com/BLERDS, the letter NTHEHOOD, and our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Blurs in the Hood. Same way I just spelled it. I don't know why I'm trying to do it any different. All of those things. I got some things coming up. Hopefully I can knock out before the end of the year. Catch me on the recent episode of Rotten Tomatoes is Wrong with Mark Ellis and Jacqueline Coley. We are talking Vampire in Brooklyn. I believe Rotten Tomatoes is absolutely right with that. All right. So I will holler at you guys next week. Hopefully we get a lot more information. Take care. I'm out. Bye.